Hi guys, I'm Stoico from Viva Invest, a community of P2P investors in Bulgaria, and I have the pleasure to be invited as a host in this Heavy Finance Investor Day. Heavy Finance is a new platform about lending money to farmers against collateral, and currently we will have here very special guests like Laimonas Noreika, which is the CEO of the platform, and country manager of the platform, Philip Otapis, which you may know from Paisera, Bulgaria, and Romania, and somewhere else maybe. Anyway, I have your attention now, I hope, and because I want to see a very short video, and I have very special question about this video. In this video you will see a very attractive blonde girl riding a horse, and I have very special question about this girl. I will ask the question after the video, so please pay attention.
I am a farmer, and I start my day with pride in what I do and what I am. The best part of my day is meeting the sunrise in the field while having a walk in my farm. Now I can focus on nurturing and growing my crops, and I start each day with optimism. Unfortunately, agriculture has long been a forgotten sector. The vast majority of people have lost the understanding of what is involved in the farming process and forgot that the bread we buy in the supermarket can only exist because of the farmer that grows the grain. We are here to remind the critical role that agriculture plays in the life and subsistence of any given society. Not only is it the backbone of the economic system, but it's also the source of food and raw materials. 40% of the European Union's budget is dedicated to support agriculture. European Union agri-food sector is one of the biggest employers and also the world's largest agri-food exporter. So, being global leaders, European farms are naturally attractive for investments. Since 2011, the volume of investments in agriculture has increased by almost 30%, and with your help are still growing. Agriculture today is far more than just cows, sows, and plows. One cultivates strawberries, shiitake mushrooms, or hemp farms, while others grow cattle and sheep alongside organic vegetables and berries. Some will realize their dream by making wine, olive oil, and cheese. These are our heroes, and we are proud to support them. We believe in agriculture. We believe in the future. Heavy Finance, a borderless lending marketplace where farmers meet investors. I am a farmer, and I start my day with pride in what I do.
I hope you pay attention, and the first one that will give me the right answer to this question will give a very special gift. What color was the eyes of the blonde girl riding a horse? I hope the first one will be, I will check the live stream. I expect the answer, but you can answer this before the end of the whole event. So currently we will start some serious business with Laimonas Noreika, which will explain us the heavy finance idea, the platform, what they are doing, how they are doing this, and what investors can get from this platform.
Yeah, Stoico, thanks first of all to hosting our event and inviting us. Dear community members, thank you for joining this live event. We would love to have it in a live environment, not in a remote video call, but that's the new normal. So thank you again for joining. And I would love to give some background on what Heavy Finance is and what we achieved so far, so we could then proceed with the live conversation together with Philip and Stoico. So I would like to present a short presentation on the backgrounds, facts, and who the Heavy Finance is. So if I may, does the viewers already see the presentation? Great. So Heavy Finance is a marketplace, a borderless and licensed marketplace dedicated for European farmers, and we enable investors to invest in these small and medium farms. So let's have in mind that by investing into these farms, you are actually doing a huge impact for these small farmers, and as you've seen in the video, that's what generates our food and you know, secures us from being dependent on other regions. So if we take care of our farmers, they reward us well with the food for our daily life. So far, we are a young company in a way. We started 1 year and 4 months ago, started in Lithuania. That's where our home country is, and that's where we are regulated at the moment. But we achieved some decent numbers in terms of financing provided for the farmers, together with your help. I know that there's a kind of a lot of Bulgarian investors as well investing there. So this fast growth really shows how much our product is needed for the farmers, and they are really thankful for your support. Since our start, we already helped farmers who own 20,000 hectares of farming land. That's a rather large number, and it might be as a one city, a whole city being a farming land. So these numbers show how much we, with our investors, help to improve efficiency of these farms, because when they receive money, they use it to increase their farmland in a way of equipment they use, the way they do the job, and as well that these investments reduce the carbon emissions, which pollutes our air. So this is investing in a impact, investing at its purest. So we are now operating in 4 countries. I'll later on show you which ones. We finance more than, current numbers is that we finance more than 300 projects. It's around 360 farmers as of now. The interest rates which investors can achieve now is 11.7%, and later on we will speak a little bit more about not only the interest rates but the expected loss rates, because whenever you are investing you are taking risk, and we have to be all aware about it. The average loan size is around 36,000 euros, and so far we have some farmers who are late on their payments, but the numbers are still small. We, as a company, we chose a fast growth, so that's why we started already 4 countries. We're opening soon the next one, and I want to a little bit sneak peek with you and share some news that we keep on raising capital from international VCs, and we recently closed a round, which is not announced yet, but you are the ones who hearing it kind of first. So expect some news on November. Then we open new market, and then sharing this information about our equity position being more strong, meaning that we can do more and provide more investment opportunities, at the same time making the farms more efficient. So a little bit of background in farming and why this financing is needed. 40% of European budget goes for farming industry. So that's
subsidies in farming.
That's how much the European Union subsidizes the farming, and there are reasons why they need it, because our farming needs to be more efficient and provide more food for us. That's very important infrastructure. At the same time, there's like 30 billion euros missing for small and medium farms. The reason behind it is that large financial institutions such as banks, or what as we call it, traditional financial institutions, cannot provide the loans which are smaller than 60,000 euros because it's negative in profit for them. So even if they want to, businesses don't do business which is not profitable for them. So that's exactly the reason why we are needed to support the small farms when they need smaller financing. We currently serve farmers in Lithuania, Latvia, Portugal, and Bulgaria. That's very different countries where we are engaging with farmers and learning their stories, why they need financing, how do they operate. But then our target is to move to the countries which lacks financing most. So these countries are Spain, Poland, and Romania. According to the statistics there, each country misses like 7 billion euros in financing for small and medium farms. At the same time, then we are creating these products for small farms. It happens to be that our products is being liked by larger farmers as well. So on our platform, you will see farmers owning 500 hectares, 800 hectares. So these are really large farms who like the way we operate, our speed, our products, for example, that we provide them financing aligned with the time that they receive their revenue. So for example, if the farmer receives revenue twice a year, so why would you ask them to pay monthly payments? You know, that's what the traditional financial institutions do. So we create different things and that's how we attract even the larger farms. As of now, we are in a large growth. Currently, we are issuing around 1.5, 1.6 million euros per month. And next year, we're adding additional 25 to 35 million euros on our loan book. And more capital we have, what we call supply side, comes from not only retail investors as yourself, as Stoica community, but from small family offices. One small financial institution from Switzerland just joined and is lending a few 100,000 euros a month. So we are inviting not only retail people, but companies. If you have additional capital to invest, you can join our platform. We are inviting family offices, even the banks, to lend for our marketplace. So it's very important, and we are putting it in front of you, that it's not only the profit you are taking together with making some impact with your investments, but let's be aware that investing also bears risk. With our business model, you are doing direct lending, meaning that if, for example, we go bust, we go belly up, or we go bankrupt, you still have a direct contract with the farmer, and he is directly responsible to pay you back. So that means that there is no fake buyback guarantees or instruments like that. If the farmer pays, you get the upside. If the farmer doesn't pay, you get some net default, let's say. So we presented a small table where you can print screen it or ask us to send it over for you after the conference to see what we expect to happen. So it's important to understand that farmers, same as any other businesses, will be late on their loans. But it's important to understand if we are, on a track as we planned. So we foresee that in a normal case scenario, from 15 to 25% of the farmers will be constantly late on their payments. So that's a very normal. Even if I worked in a bills company where people had to pay bills, that's exactly the same number on a monthly bills where people are late. So it's very normal numbers seen in other industries. The default rate which we expect from farmers is around 5%. So that means that these guys will experience problems. We expect that they will experience problems, but then we will start the recovery process, and we expect that from 60 to 90% of these funds will be returned after the recovery process. So it is a very pessimistic, I would say, approach. There is a chance that we will recover 90 to 95%, but we don't want to give this perception that lending is a miracle and you provide money and you get profit. Everything bears a risk, so please take the print screen and understand these numbers, that in all lending business, whatever you do, if you're providing capital, you're as well bearing a risk. I wanted to be very clear on that, even if it took most of my presentation. I think I'm done now with that. And join our platform, start investing. Don't forget that there's a risk included. And let's proceed with the open conversation now.
Okay, I was a little disappointed now because I was thinking they'll invented the holy grail of investing and there will be riskless returns. But I'm not very disappointed because as far as the risk is manageable and clear, really clear, the most important thing for me is to understand the risk and to understand where is the risk. I think we'll go deeper in the conversation, but before maybe we should give some words from Philip or not? Yes, this is the schedule.
I have been invited by Laimonas to coordinate the efforts, the expansion efforts of heavy finance in Bulgaria. So we already have a team of 5 people working in Sofia, and I think they are doing great. We have a very good traction so far with Bulgarian borrowers, Bulgarian farms. You can see that on the platform. And our cooperation goes further than that, because in order to invest in heavy finance, you need to have an account. And basically, you need to have an account where it is cheap or free to receive small amounts every time a borrower pays. Also, every time you want to invest. So, a bank account would not be very suitable because it has some attached costs, while with a e-money institution account like Paysera, then you have the opportunity to receive funds all the time and make transactions free of charge. So this is the one reason that Heavy Finance is cooperating with Paysera at a global level and in Bulgaria as well. And the other is, of course, we are providing identification services. So the two companies go together. It was natural that we cooperate and we help them create a presence in the country. And even though our focus is borrowers, our team is working mostly on farmers and loans, we decided to have this investor event because there is a great interest from investor community. As you probably know, banks don't provide any interest on the deposits, even it's negative. So people really need places where they can make reasonable investments. And from my point of view, it sounds much more reasonable to invest in a collateralized loan given to a local farmer than in anything else. This is money that goes to people that want to work their land better, be more efficient, and of course, not all of them. Some might fail in this process, but we believe that we have a very good screening process, and actually, we turn away more than 90% of the requests. So we believe we have a very good filter, and we only bring to the platform farmers that we believe that they have true intentions of actually adding value to their farm and being able to repay the loans to their own interest and to the interest of all investors.
Okay, thank you. We have already some questions here live, but I want to go deeper, a little bit deeper on this. You said that 90%, 90 or 90? 90%
Yes.
are rejected.
Yes.
On global level, not just in Bulgaria.
Yeah, it's due to various reasons. So first of all, some of the traffic comes from not farming related requests. So that's one.
Yes.
But then it's important that we are screening the business itself. So it's not that we are lending against the collateral. For example, if for example you have a tractor but you're not a farmer, so you would never get a loan from us. First of all, we score the business itself, your revenue growth, your profitability of the business, loan to asset ratios, and all the financial data we can grasp from the farmer to understand if the farm is able to repay the loan. So that's what we really score. And in our case, the collateral, the tractor, which you would put us as a collateral to reduce the risk, in our credit scoring is only 10% impact. So it's very important to understand that we're not lending against a tractor or a harvester or land.
So don't go away with the LTV trap, loan to value.
Yeah, by the way, we had this LTV on a top, and then we removed it because it seemed that people only care about this one, and it is important, but really not the most important factor in the business.
One more question on scoring. It's again for me, but I think it's important at the time is now. Why do you have just 3 credit scores? It seems little. 4, yeah, A+, yeah. But it's a rare, like a unicorn on the platform. I have some loans with A+, but they are really rare. So maybe this is too little difference between A and B and C, or
yeah. So
usually they go to D or E or.
Yeah, we have D
F.
and we have F. So these are the ones who don't get into the platform. So
okay. so you decided to.
Especially the special one is rating F. It starts with up.
Rating F is not good. Usually the platform have some creative naming of rating F, like high risk or something, but not F.
So, anyways, it's a rating to provide you the tendency of being late. So it's important to understand that it's very, very hard to see which one is going into default. But it's a tendency of being late. So basically what it shows is how much cash is available to repay the loan. So I think that's the way to be seen it. Because even the small farms, they can get A rating, even if the large one gets C rating. So it's a mix of everything, but it seems we are right so far. The A-level farmers is being late less than C-level farmers.
This is not a probability of default.
Yeah, exactly. So this is not a probability of default. It's probability of being late.
Okay.
Because probability
it's different risk.
Probability of getting default is very few platforms from the early days can tell the probability of default if you don't have data on that. So it's a bit, I would say, not fair creation in fact.
Okay, there is one question from the audience live here. It is interesting about this, and it was on topic of do you have any defaulted loans yet, and how you're dealing with the recovery process of defaulted loans?
Yeah, so we had the first guy, and it happens to me that I invested there myself. So that's the probability of default, a kind of large amount, because I thought it's a good farmer. So we had the problem with him, and it's the first time we are going in a full recovery process. We have this what's called width of the notary already with the bailiff. So bailiff started the procedure. We'll see how it goes, but it's a first actual event of default, so can't really give you exact plan when it happens, but it depends on the countries as well. So some countries are dealing with the recovery process better. Some countries are taking longer in procedures. So that's a question to learn, because the collateral is ours. The guy can't sell it. The farm is there, and there's a private liability on top of that. But for sure, it will take time, and especially depending on the bailiff, court, and all that.
I can share from my personal experience with other platforms that usually takes time, about 6 months in best case scenario, to 2 years in worst case scenario. For me, about the collateral is real estate in this platform. I have 5 or 6 loans recovered already. And the good thing is that there was no single loss yet on this. So the recovery was full recovery. Yeah, actually, some of them are recovered better than if they are regular current loans. Okay.
If I may just give one example. So I founded the consumer lending and SME lending platform before. It was called Finbi. So When I checked the numbers from year 2016, 2017, how much of the loans were defaulted and how much were recovered. So the funny thing is that from defaulted loans, we recovered 110% of the loans, meaning that you recover more than the guy is actually owning. So it's just a matter of patience. And what's interesting with heavy finance from that perspective is that we are providing business loans, but effectively these are consumers from legal perspective, because they have private liability. So even if we sell his tractor, sell his farm, he is still liable for the loan. So there is a very little interest to do so.
So it have to do personal default to
actually
escape from loan. Is it possible in Lithuania? Because in Bulgaria it's not.
It is, but very not popular.
Yeah.
There are countries where it's more
popular. It's popular in the United States. We're behind.
And Czech Republic. I had some business there, so.
Okay, another interesting question is, what is the APR for the borrower? Okay, we see the interest rate.
Yeah.
10%. What is the APR for the borrower?
So we tend to take from 2.5 to 3.5% cut on the loan. So the effective, it's not an APR, but effective interest rate is around 13% currently.
Okay.
And we understand that it's a high price they pay. We really want to reduce that. So that's not good news for our investors, but we believe that with the risk investors are taking, the interest rates for farmers should be high single digits.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you think the interest rates will go lower?
I hope so.
Okay. I hope not very soon, but it's my personal interest here. Okay, about the taxes. This is a very popular question. A few people ask it, and I'm personally interested in it. Why we pay taxes in Lithuania?
Mm-hmm.
It's not always the case with the other platforms. And it's a little bit annoying for us, because here we have a 10%, there is 15%. And paying taxes in some other country is not very patriotic.
Yeah.
Okay, two sides.
It's
why we do this?
So it goes very...
Can this be avoided somewhere, legally?
So basically, if you are investing on any platforms, like not speaking about heavy finance, wherever you are investing, you should be paying taxes on the interest where it's generated. So that's a common law in Europe. That's what tax agencies should be taking care of. So if the interest rate is generated in France, so that's where you should be paying interest. That's everywhere the law is the same. It's just the approach of the tax agency, how humble they are. No, it's not even an interpretation. So all other tax agencies so far didn't speak with the platforms abroad, but our tax agency did that in Lithuania. So because they are very active on taxing people. So they forced us to take interest rate from Lithuania. But, for example, if the interest rate is generated here in Bulgaria, so we have to adjust our systems and pay to Bulgarian tax agency. But the thing is that the Bulgarian tax agency is not ready to get funds from us, so it's a bit of the mess.
They will be happy, I'm sure, for this.
Yeah, unless they don't have a form to fill, so that's a problem. So people have to pay taxes. We understand it's not good, so what we're about to do is to explain that, look, we are taking care about the tax agency in Lithuania. If the interest rate is generated in another country, let's say Bulgaria or Portugal, then people have to pay their taxes themselves.
You mean that if I invest in Bulgarian loan on heavy finance, you will not withhold any taxes?
That's our plan for soon to happen.
Sounds nice and very patriotic. I have some Bulgarian laws also.
No, but please pay the taxes. We all need to pay taxes.
I know. It's my obligation. I have some interest. Yeah. I have some income. I have to pay that. I don't go somewhere with my taxes hidden. I don't know this. But okay.
Actually, this area is still heavily unregulated. So, for example, the law for crowdfunding is not active in Bulgaria yet. It will become active in November. And then...
Bulgaria?
Yes, by European regulation, not by national law. And after that, the rules of the game might change, but we still don't know how and what will be the approach of Bulgarian tax authorities. My take is that they probably don't know yet. I mean, at least we have no indication that something is going on there. So when there will be proper regulation, we might have to change the current status, but we are not there yet.
Okay. Speaking of regulations, another question was, is the platform regulated? Where, from who, and how it's regulated? How it protects investors? Is there any regulation? I mean, I don't use the word guarantees here. So there is no buyback guarantee, which is proper word for this is buyback obligations. I'm happy that some platforms already changed the wording and get rid of this guarantee because nothing is guaranteed, maybe just debt and taxes, but no any other guarantees. So the regulations, personally I don't like regulations. I think that this is some kind of promise that is hard to keep from the government usually, and it looks like a false guarantee, which is not for me, but it's for me. I prefer to be very on my own and use some very good income from a platform which is not regulated. They pay for the regulation of the platform, but this is just me. A lot of people want to have regulations and they feel safe when there is regulation. So is the platform regulated? Who's regulated this platform, if so?
Regulation is a very interesting topic to discuss. So I really would love to see all the platforms regulated because that evens the playing ground. So, for example, companies from Lithuania, we are highly regulated and very actively regulated, meaning that we have requirements of, how do we inform investors? We have to report on our traction, loans, provide every information, and our government is really, really strict on the rules. So we have this, a bit with the tied up to, we cannot improvise. And if, for example, I would say that we're providing buyback guarantees in Lithuania, I would go jail. So that's the way we are regulated. But and I really like the way that regulation is in place. It adds a layer of security. Personal fines for me for misleading a company is there, and it's relatively large. My criminal background has to be checked. Board member, so there's a lot of things which is in place, and I want to add another layer. So now we have European level crowdfunding initiative that was approved last October, so meaning one year ago. That all European countries will have a regulation for crowdfunding, and it's on the same level. So it's actually very similar to what we have as Lithuanians, and we were kind of European level commission. They took our law and pretty much created it for everyone. So it's there, and countries will have to take it basically. So how it goes? We will have a passport license from Lithuanian bank, and then our bank will inform other countries that we are regulated under Lithuanian company. So same might happen from Bulgarian to others, but it will take some time for the countries
and
to...
the bank's license is currently working.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
my take on this is that no regulation means wild west, which is not good for investments. Okay, I wouldn't feel safe as an investor to invest in the wild west. So having said that, I think it's from a nationalistic, patriotic point of view, it's a pity that Bulgaria did not start thinking about this regulation earlier. And now, Lithuanian companies, they are like operating for 2, 3, 4 years maybe. And in Bulgaria, we don't know if there is going to be any regulation and how it will look. And after this happens, some Bulgarian companies might start and might want to enter the sector, but they have to they have to cover some distance that has been already made by the front runners, and it will be difficult to catch up.
Bulgarian regulators, I personally know because it happens to know that started working on fintech regulations and investing regulations and peer-to-peer 5 years ago. I know the amount of work was tremendous. It was to create email called fintech/SECVG. So if you have any ideas about regulations, you can email them. It was a joke, but it was 5 years ago joke.
Initially, I didn't figure out it was a joke, and I was like, how is that I don't know about it?
Yeah, but there is a PR message on their site. You can see this about regulations, how hard they're working, and they have an email. Nothing changed for the last 5 years, unfortunately. Okay, so that's why you are working in Lithuania. Because there are a common question, why these platforms are mostly in Baltics? I mean, Lithuania, Litva, and Estonia. Even Bulgarian platforms are registered in Estonia.
So actually only Lithuania has a law there. So Latvians is Wild West, Estonians is, I would say, regulated by nature. These guys are, taking things seriously. But things which happened in Latvia, I think there is like 4 platforms already. It's not even bankrupt, it's stealing money. That's what happens when you don't have regulations. So that's why there are a lot of Latvians.
I'm happy investor in one of them. Groupier is the platform that...
And we had the Lithuanian platform who started in Lithuania. Regulator came and he said, you guys have to be regulated. So they run to Latvia and then they run away with the money. So it's
no regulation, Wild West.
Yeah, sure. Okay, when I said that regulation is not a panacea, I mean...
Over-regulation is a bad thing, for sure, but some regulation is needed so that you know the rules, and everybody knows the rules, and somebody observes the rules.
So you have a regulation from the Lithuanian bank, like a lender or like an investment marketplace or something?
We are called a crowdfunding platform.
Crowdfunding platform. So let's go a little bit deeper on your funding process. If I am a farmer and come to you to get a loan, what will happen? You will check me, of course, screening me, assign me credit score, I know this. Yeah. And after that?
So after that, we list a project on a platform and we invite investors to invest in that loan. If the loan appears on a platform, we already believe that's a good farmer, which is most probably will give the money back at least. So then investors raise funds. From our current results, so 77% of the loans are financed the same day we put it on a platform.
In just one day?
Yeah. But so then...
You have a lot of money pouring in the platform.
And we would love to pour more because our growth is very fast, so that's very important. But what happens next, and this is I think one of the most important layers of security which we have. So the farmer has to go and visit notary office where he pledges the asset and signs a contract. So the layer of security we have is, notary office has to check if the farmer is the person he says. So you have this live KYC, and it's the procedure in all the countries which we operate. It as well checks if the collateral he pledges is pledged or not. So if all the procedures goes well, investor has the surety that this is the farmer I lent money to, that's where he lives, that's where his farm is, and that's a collateral. It's not pledged to anyone else. It's the level of security we provide. And then when the farmer signs a contract in the notary office, only then we release money. So that's why sometimes the projects, even after they are financed, tends to 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's for various reasons. Sometimes farmer doesn't have time to drive to other city. Sometimes they go hospital, but we cannot change the procedure. So you have to go there. There is no other.
They have an active pledge from an old loan they had, but they didn't lift it. So it takes some time.
It's for all your like.
I
it's
have
for
one
you.
or two cases when you returned back my money. Said this project is cancelled. What happened? Something.
It happens even if we have a contract with the farmer. It happens to be that they change their mind.
Okay.
So and they keep on saying, yeah, I'm going to the pledge registry next week, and they don't do it. So what's our take? We have to wait, and then we understand that he is just not willing to take money.
So the whole loan is financed by the investors. You have just additional commission, additional cut.
Yeah.
You have no skin in the game
No.
in the loan. Okay.
And we will act like that for, I would say, forever, because we are a marketplace. We're not a lender.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's our business model, and that's how we see it's best to act. Otherwise, there's a mix of interests. So let's say if I start lending myself, so my interest is to, let's say, increase the interest rates, while now my interest is to decrease it. So very different business models.
Some marketplaces put their already pre-funded loans, and they sell them, and some retain some skin in the game, others don't. Like Clear, in Bulgaria, there is a platform that fund the whole loan,
yeah,
and then offer it to investors. Again, the whole loan. They have no skin in the game. Some of them have some, let's say, loans and have some skin in the game. I always prefer skin in the game because I think this is the best alignment of interest. But okay, it's fair to not to have, just to have being a marketplace for a loan. Okay, I will check just some questions. What are you doing with the farmers who are late in payments? What is your process? How are you dealing with them? This
so
is the
hard questions, not for me, Philip.
Well, we don't beat them.
Don't be there?
No, we follow.
Maybe you should improve your process.
We follow regulation, and we follow due process, depending on the country and depending on the collateral and depending on the farmer. For Bulgaria, we don't know yet.
But yeah, in lending business, it's very important to be active on late guys. So you have to contact them as early as possible. You have to cancel the contract as early as possible, because if the guy is in the problem, so he tends to pay for the ones who are most active. So that's our approach. What we do is, 3 days before the payment, we inform the farmer that he has to make a payment. If he's late 3 days, we already making a call and talking with the farmer. So we always feel the pulse of the farmer, and we do not provide the loans where the interest rate at least is not paid on a monthly basis. So we always feel the pulse on how these loans perform. And if when the 45 days late is we cannot kind of get any payment in 45 days, then we pass to our credit collection agent, which is an in-house employee, and he deals, finds a solution how to approach it. Should we cancel it already? Should we renegotiate? Should we advise to refinance somewhere else? So it's a process.
Okay. It just occurred to me that if I'm not private person but a company investing in your platform, it is possible to invest as a company.
Yes.
Do you also withhold taxes?
No.
Oh, so this is a good answer for a lot of investors here. If you don't want to avoid tax withholding in Lithuania, just invest as a company, if you have, of course. But it just didn't came to me. I will switch. I will switch to company.
We have to take care about private individuals, and then if it's a company, it's smart enough to pay their taxes. Yeah. So that's their duty. We don't really intervene.
Okay. Just to check some new questions.
One more thing I wanted to say about the securitization of the process is that the value of the assets is being checked by a third party. It's currently we use the largest. Currently, we use the largest Bulgarian company to make the valuation of the assets. So it's not that we say this asset it's worth this much. It's a valuation that comes from a third party, and we believe this third party to be objective and to be with a very good reputation. So we can say that from this point of view, there is further security that the collateral is actually worth what we say it's worth.
You know, it's interesting. One of our largest investors become our investors because we hired this company, and they are evaluating most of the assets, and the guy is investing in all of them. So for me, as a founder, it's a very good sign. You know, it allows me to sleep well during the night because I know that we are evaluating well if that guy is investing himself. So.
Okay. Just one thing. It was a kind of funny question, but about the name, Heavy Finance. In finance, it's always better to be easy, not heavy. So why the idea of Heavy Finance?
You see, to be honest, we started this company, we managed to start this company in 3 months from with all the preparations. The story was that me and my other co-founder, Ritis, we were skiing, and I think it was March 15, before COVID lockdown, and he was the one explaining about the, farming, experiencing problems, and me as a city guy, I didn't know from, it was very counterintuitive that farmers need financing. But he explained that, and I said, look, we have to test it and test it fast because the farming season happens on July. That's where they need the money fast. So we managed to prepare everything in 3 months. So we really didn't kind of do, branding, preparation and so on. So the name, it is what it is. We do the business, but I got used to Heavy Finance. I started to love it. So I think it might be that we will remain Heavy Finance for forever. Even if it might be better name.
Okay, and do you have some heavy metal guys in the company?
Yes.
I used to listen to Marilyn Manson myself. I'm not sure if that's
sure.
It's a pop heavy metal, but
it's light heavy metal.
Light heavy. Him, for example, that used to be one of my favorites as well.
There is a very, very interesting question about, I will read it. The investor pays, this is a quote from your website, the investors pays to operator the debt administration fee of 0.1% daily, I think.
So that's a tricky one. We had to figure out, we have the regulation there, and we have to figure out how we are incentivized to look for your money when it's in a recovery process, how to pay the cost for it. So we figured out in a way that when the farmer pays the delay fees, only then we take a split when an investor's interest is covered. So we take our kind of keep our motivation to look for the money. So that's.
This question was almost a deal breaker when I started to invest in Heavy Finance, and I know the answer, but the explanation on the website is really can mislead you. So the idea was you will get your cut after the investors' money are paid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So and we had to take this money from investor legally. So that's what's complicated. But we never take. We don't take fees from investor before he actually receives his interest. Yeah.
And actually, he will get a little bit more,
correct,
not less money. But it's not too well communicated on the site. I wrote to your support. I get the satisfactory answer for me.
I remember, I answered.
Yeah. But when I read this sentence, I said, no, I will not invest in this platform. So maybe you should do some rewording and explanation here. Because there was a question here, and it's not from Bulgaria, but there was such question.
Yeah, we might need to put some clarification there because it sounds bad. And it's not actually, so.
Okay, just one. Platform. There is another question. If I'm Lithuanian, invest to Bulgarian loan, I shall pay taxes in Lithuania or in Bulgaria?
Honestly, you should pay taxes in Bulgaria, so that's right to Bulgarian tax agency. If they would love to accept interest, so we would love to pay it, but the way it is that it's not happening so far, so you have to pay your taxes at home.
Okay.
It's to be clarified, okay? So,
No, it's very difficult. Look, it's a double taxation policy. So, for example, it's so complicated that this cross-country taxation that you have 10% here, right?
Yeah.
So we have 15%. So honestly, if that guy who is asking from Lithuania, so he should pay 10 here, get the document that he paid 10 here, present it to the agency in Lithuania, and pay 5 in Lithuania. So it's it's a mess.
It's a mess, but it is the way.
Yeah, it is a fair way, but
like say in the Mandalorian, this is the way.
yeah.
Yeah, if there are any Mandalorian fans here. Okay, one more thing about this is for me about wise guys. How wise are these guys? I know wise guys are investors in heavy finance, and I know these guys. I don't know them, but I'm familiar with this name from other platforms that I use. So maybe it will be interesting for me who is behind these wise guys. Are they like me, 20 years old with 30 years experience, or even wiser?
No, so a lot of things is happening in Baltics now, and we think that we soon will reach the more unicorns per capita than San Francisco is actually doing. So a lot of these kind of venture capital things are happening in Baltics. We kind of managed to figure out this world, and a lot of funds and venture capital is coming to the Baltic countries. Startup Wise guys, these are great guys in a very early stage in helping companies to figure out how to structure your company in a way that you're interesting for bigger guys, and that's where we really help. And I really advise whoever wants to do business as a startup to go and accelerate their business in Startup Wise Guys Accelerator, because these guys are great. Especially the Lithuanian team, Estonian team is great as well, Latvian team is great as well. But somehow the previous 2 years, what guys from Startup Wise Guys did in Lithuania is crazy good. So I really like them.
Okay. And what is the future plans of finance? I mean, what we can expect? You going to be a little bit platform, or you going to be going like a lender, or?
So we are a marketplace.
You will stay that way?
We will stay that way.
Okay.
So whoever wants to join our platform, as I said before, you're able to do so. Even if you're a bank, even if you're a UniCredit, if you want to lend for our platform, come, let's do it. We will remain, our thesis is we are a borderless lending platform for whole European farmers. So that's, I think, the target number one, to become one. And that's what we're heading. As I mentioned, we are opening Poland soon, so we expect that it's going to be one of our primary markets. But then we kind of, will be increasing our equity position, increasing our muscles, and getting for that market strong. We are the ones who have started this first, so we will try to use the first movers advantage combined with the experience we had before, so we kind of can protect this first movers advantage. So many people think that farming is not sexy. We think it's sexy. So that's what we will.
We saw the movie.
Stay.
We saw the movie. It's sexy, definitely.
The lady with the.
Yeah, of course.
What color eyes?
it's also heavily subsidized.
For me, it was blue.
Ah.
Yeah.
I think it's a more greenish.
Yeah, a little bit greenish, but I think there is no right answer yet. Okay. So you'll stay in farming, focus in farming, just in this case.
Definitely.
Razor sharp focus. Okay.
Yeah.
I like this.
Show me that larger niche. it's a niche, but show me the larger one.
I don't need to have big niche for me. For me, much more important to be the number one in this niche.
Yeah.
Because this niche is not actually not. I don't understand anything from agriculture. I'm a total outsider for this, so I don't pretend to understand what is in agriculture. But there are a lot of questions from people that maybe understand this much better than me, which is not high bar, but in any case, it will be much better. So they ask about things like related to this niche, and one of them is green is actually a very popular color in Bulgaria. Since today it's especially popular because we have to have green certificates for a lot of places. So there is also Green Deal, and there are several questions about this Green Deal, how it will impact the agriculture. And one question is if there is any pressure to use a greener heavy machinery like tractors and harvesters and new fertilizers and things like that. And can this impact the value of, let's say, collateral? Because like diesel cars in London, if you have a diesel car, you almost have to give it away for free. Can this happen in this sector, and how soon?
Yeah, so it happens to be that farming as an industry is polluting our earth extremely, and it's accounted from 14 to 20% of all carbon emissions. So it is an industry which, it's subsidized extremely, but still pollutes quite a lot. So there has to be improvement in that field. And the European Union is changing some laws and will be rewarding. So they see it that you cannot take from what you're already subsidizing. So they will be supporting the farmers in what's called carbon credits. That if you're doing things well and you're trying to reduce the carbon emission, then you will be receiving these carbon credits in exchange for good job done, and not vice versa. So
not punishment.
Not punishment.
But
So that's what's happening. So basically, they will be rewarded again, subsidized again.
Okay, so there is nothing considering punishment for collateral.
But anyways, they will have to move from elder tractors to the new ones, and even if you're buying the new John Deere, you're getting that carbon credit as well. So that's what's in the plan.
Okay, there's interesting question again from this field about artificial meat.
Meat?
Artificial meat, which
artificial,
is
artificial, yeah.
Oh, sorry, artificial meat, yeah. I mean this like hamburgers made from vegans and things like that. Do you think it can affect the farming like kettles and pigs farms?
That's a tough one, but
this is like decaffeinized coffee and no alcohol beer. So I don't know.
I mean, this is to support.
Not meat.
Market bigger, actually.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. There is a lot of people who are not. The population is growing super fast, and we need to invent more ways to feed the people. So some will be able to eat real steak, some will be eating build it in a laboratory. But the more choice we have, the better it is, because we have to feed the population, and that's exactly what farming provides.
Okay, so this analogy, I like it, alcohol-free beer. It actually makes the market bigger. Yeah, because if someone wants to eat meat, it will eat meat. If someone want to be vegan, there is still chance for him to eat something like meat, which is not meat.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's actually makes the market bigger for farmers. Okay, I don't see any other questions here.
With this digitalization process, it's you still need the farming like 3 times per day. So no matter how things get worse with this digitalization, you will still need the farming, and digital farming is not yet invented, or I don't know, maybe.
Like digital food.
Digital farming maybe yes, but
Yeah.
digital food, no, not so much. So I think that farming is going to be, it's going to stay in our life for a long time, and also being one of the pillars of the European Union, it's going to be subsidized like forever, or the European Union will fall apart, I guess. So from this point of view, I think that as an industry, it's not at risk. Even if there is some shift because of the carbon credits or Green Deal and so on, it will shift, but it will not disappear. It will not diminish. It will not evaporate. It might change, of course.
There was a question about that. If the subsidies are reduced about farming, how will this impact the platform? But
You will need more loans, I
More
guess.
investment opportunities, I would say.
yeah, sure. If you have less money for free, you should pay a little bit more for for other money that are not free. Okay, but I don't think it's viable to expect cutting subsidies on farming. Maybe changing and restructuring them, but cutting,
Yes, for sure.
it's don't see viable to me. So there is some other questions. Do you plan to grant more loans for farmers with Lithuanian government agency guarantee, 50 to 80%?
Yeah, we'd love to. Everyone expects that. Provide us guaranteed loans. It's not that easy to achieve. Whenever we have this kind of product, we list it in the platform. We don't hide it from you. So we'll try to find more, but
So you plan, but do they have?
I would love to. I mean, our job is to provide financing for farmers. So whenever the government can guarantee for it, we're happy. So
Or subsidize the interest.
we have only, I think, 3 to 8 per month so far.
Okay.
So that's the way it is. What we plan to do is, we plan to engage with the agencies in other countries as well, so we could provide this product, but it will take time for us.
Okay, speaking about other countries, there is a question. Do you already have legal partners in countries you operate to work with defaulted loans?
Of course. That's the first thing what we do when we enter the market. So we start with the first of all lawyers, making sure our procedures are in place and corresponds to the local laws. So that's the first thing which we do. And so when we sign a contract with them to help us in our recovery process, but at the same time in each country where we operate, we try to hire the person who has experience in the recovery process. So he knows the peculiarities in each country. So because it's very different in terms of especially the period of time then something happens, But yeah, that's look, if the guys will not pay, our company will go bust. So that's very not in our interest. We have to make sure that these numbers I showed you in the table is in place to show that we're able to project and it makes sense for everyone to invest.
You have just 1 year and maybe a few months in history, so it cannot be expected to have other things than projections. Your loan is about 2-3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, so you have just half.
Yeah, but half is already good because from my lending perspective is the most loss you actually experience is when someone steals money from you. And they steal it from day one. So if the loan is not being paid the first month already, so that's where the risk exactly exists. And we have that case, the one we're looking for now. But the farmer picks up the phone, we're talking with him, it's just the guy who doesn't pay. But what I already learned as well in a previous lending activities is that loans tend to fail in the mid like if your schedule is 12 months, so 6 months is already when you fail in loan. So we passed that already. So we have the almost in the midterm. So we have some data there. It looks good, honestly. What's very interesting that most of the interest is already paid to the investors at the moment then they default, if it's in half. So it's good then that they don't default on a day one. If they default on a half period, it's good for investors.
In Bulgaria, most farmers are natural persons, not companies. I mean, not limited liability company or things like that. How is this? Personally, I consider this a little more secure to lend to person who has all the skin in the game, not to the company, which is sometimes maybe empty shell, or let's say they have some assets, but these assets can be really fast going to another companies, or maybe the company will be transferred to another. A lot of schemes there. So the good thing for me is that if I lend to private person, I consider this safer than to lend to the company. How is this in? I don't know how is this situation in Lithuania. In Bulgaria, I know a lot of people. I mean, they call it farmers by the law, and they don't have to have additional company. They can operate as a natural person, which is I consider more secure for me. How is this
company? Then the owner of the company, or the person who is running the company in the loans, he's also liable as an individual.
Sole responsibility.
Yeah. We get the contract with the.
Yeah, we have the borrower is the company, but if the company doesn't pay, the sole owner of the company is also liable. So.
It's always interesting to see it in different countries, but
I understand that
we are working now in 5 countries, and the same rule applies everywhere. That farmer is has private liability for his business, even if he's has status of being business and a person at the same time. So. They can borrow as a business, but they are liable as a person. So that's a very interesting model. And 80% of our customers are private persons. But if that's a company behind it, so we sign a contract with the farmer that you are personally liable for a loan. And you can see it on our platform. There's a small icon for that. Personal liability.
If the company, I saw this icon. I mean, if the company doesn't pay the loan, you as a person have to pay it.
Yeah, that's the point. So it's either a shareholder of the company or the CEO of the company.
You have to. Yeah.
No, come on, look. We are providing funds for the farmers to make their farms efficient. That's their work. Our work is investing money. So you have to take both things seriously, and that's exactly what we do. When then you as a farmer are not paying, so you're abiding the contract, and you have to follow the contract. So we have to be strict on that, and we will act accordingly.
Crowdfunding, the platform is representing the investors, so the platform has to act according to the contract and to the interest of the investors.
Speaking of investors, you mentioned family offices and a bank.
Yep.
One bank?
No, so it's not here yet in a platform. So there's one small financial institution from Switzerland already lending. So that's our first institution who did the due diligence. Our processes are clear. They're happy with our contingency plan, meaning what happens if we go bust. Who overtakes all the operations. So that was a 1 year work to pass through all the different stages of checks. We passed. We're super happy. We are in talks with the very large institutions to join our platform as supply providers, what we call. So this is happening, and we're talking with few smaller banks to give access for them to invest in loans without sales, administration costs, and so on. So that's where they are able to invest in small loans. So that's a game which we are playing.
That's bad news for me. I see already interest rates going down sharply, maybe, because if you give some banks a way to let's say supply, to commit some funds there, and small financial institutions in Switzerland, I'm not sure it's that Switzerland is the the place to be when you're talking about banking. So I'm not sure how small is the institution, but in any ways, this, if institutional investors starting to go in this kind of platforms, okay, they will be.
They will. But the
will.
thing is that as long as we're growing in a pace which we're growing, so we provided 10 million euros in 1 year, we most probably will be able to add on, 50 million next year, and then 200 million next year. So the capital is needed, and it's not that easy to attract, hundreds of millions of capital, providing them 3% interest rate. So it's as these guys who joined first the heavy finance, they're brave enough, they do the due diligence, but they expect good returns. So same with the institutions. If they are the first ones, they are expecting some larger return because they are taking larger risk. It's a new player in the game. It's very normal that if I do more work to understand the platform, I expect more results because I'm taking some more risks than my colleague is doing.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so we don't expect to have sharp decreases in the interest rates yet. Maybe a year or so.
If in 3, 4, 5 years we could achieve the, as I call, high single digits, it's 8%, then we'll be able to finance so many farmers that I will need 5 more years to attract all the institutions around.
Okay, sure. Well, high single digits is okay for me. Actually, I was used to invest in at least for 5%, but it was 2 or 3 years ago. Currently, sometimes even below 5% seems attractive, but okay, this is not absurd. Yeah, it's a market, of course. Everywhere interest rates go down. Maybe here will be also, but thinking about the risk of investment, it should be enough attractive return on investment to make this, let's say, to make some due diligence, to make some efforts to get something from your investment, because you always risk your money. It's not a bank. Of course, there is always a risk. So I will check again about
final questions.
Final questions, yeah. Just to check. What about Portugal? About taxing? Bulgarian loan taxing in Bulgaria, Lithuanian loan taxing in Lithuania, and
right.
Portugal?
So same answer.
Same answer.
We
Taxing
don't know.
Portugal.
It's going to be figured out, depending on how regulation will evolve.
But maybe that was a question from tax agency. So
yeah. Taxes are a bad thing, actually. Don't get me wrong. I'm the guy that I'm pretty happy to pay my taxes, because in Bulgaria I see it's a taxing paradise, actually, because 10% flat tax it's great. Yeah. It's good. I don't want lower than that. I'm afraid we will be enforced to raise our taxes from the European Union, and the only thing that prevents the European Union is that Bulgaria is the poorest country in the European Union. So don't raise taxes, please. But this will change. Okay.
Poor countries are allowed to have low taxes, something like that.
Typically, it's vice versa.
Maybe we are not attractive enough, even though we have lowest tax. I think it's lowest tax in the European Union, but having such complicated, let's say, slow, fat administration and bad court, justice systems, it's not enough for an investor. So we are not doing anything that can be attract really wealthy investors. So the European Union still give us free pass for this. It's my take on this situation. Nothing official, but okay. No new questions here. Just to check if I skip some questions.
So that's good. I expect that the guys are already tired and still don't want to turn off the TV so not to miss anything. So what about if we end the conversation? What do you think?
I'm pretty happy to end the conversation. If you want to say something to the people.
Yeah, anyways, to be honest, we are still going for a dinner, so we are in Sofia. If you want to proceed with the questions, ping Stoica or Philip or me if you have contacts, and let's meet to eat some great salads with
not artificial.
No, it's not meat. It was local.
They are impressed with our vegetables.
Vegetables like salads and the local liquid farming rakia.
Yeah, it's one of the best things that can happen here in Bulgaria, to have some rakia.
Investment facilitator.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's look for one loan, to provide the loan for the guy who is doing the rakia, so we could all experience the real product.
My father-in-law is doing very good rakia.
By the way, we financed a farmer in Portugal, which is producing wine, so we bought quite a lot of bottles of wine from them. So, yeah.
Наградата за очите.
Is that it?
Okay, we will have to say that there are some suggestions for the girl's eyes color here. And first suggestion, I presume it's right, because actually the girl was with sunglasses. So we don't know what is the color. But the first suggestion is from Maria Jordanova, and it's blue. I will take that answer for it. And the special present there will be for him. I will contact, or she may contact me, and we will arrange the present. Maybe the best case is to use the wire transfer directly to pay Sarah account. Maybe. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
We'll do.
So thank you a lot, Stoica, for hosting this conversation. We hope it's been useful for our audience. And I also want to thank Laimonas for visiting Bulgaria and focusing his attention on this growing market. And we hope that this growth is going to continue, and see him again here when we have even better results. And thanks to the audience for watching this. And if they have further questions, we will try to reply in the comments to the video, or they can put the questions on our Facebook, or write to our support, of course.
I will put the recording, the link to the recording in the P2P group, and also in the other investor groups, the Viva Invest page in Facebook. So everyone that want to ask additional questions will have the opportunity, and maybe I will forward it directly to Laimonas or to you, whatever is responsible for the question. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you again. Bye.